I was just swiping left and right on Tinder like usual, for laughs. But this one profile nearly made me spit out my iced coffee. Their gazing back was me. Well, kind of. The selfie looked exactly like me. Strong brows, chin scar, even same hair. But dude was male with a 5 o'clock shadow. Rest was identical to uncanny degrees, though. I rubbed my eyes wondering if those shrooms from last week were causing flashbacks. But nah, the photo stayed stubbornly similar. He looked exactly like me. Too curious not to reply. We exchanged deets. Connor lived clear across the state, but was eager to video chat about our resemblance right away. Said he felt an intense, inexplicable spiritual magnetism towards me specifically. Hippie talk, but my gut secretly agreed. I mean, I had felt oddly compelled to answer his listing, so who knows. Anyways, we lined up our webcam views side by side and gasped. Not just similarities, legit carbon copies. Only difference was male/female, everything else identical. The nose mold, chipped incisor, cowlicks, like staring into a dimensional portal of my cisgender alternate existence. We talked for hours about childhood and interests, mesmerized the crossover. Even the way we scratch our heads looked too alike. Was this my long-lost twin or something? Finally, foggily surrounded by Red Bull empties, the sun started peeking over the horizon. I cleared off my crowded bathroom counter so I could actually see my own reflection. Turning my head side to side, I tried imagining nail stubble on my chin. Could very well have been Connor's own image staring back at me. Crazy. I gave him a sleepy goodbye wave, tickled to find this mysterious brother from another mother. Exhausted, I soon collapsed in bed, dwelling on our profound encounter. Over the next weeks, Connor and I chatted constantly, trading life stories big and small, excitedly gasping whenever commonalities surfaced. And surface they did, a lot. He began lightly persuading me to explore destined coincidences, innocently suggesting new hobbies or habits mirroring his own. Harmless at first, obscure indie bands, different hair part. It kind of snowballed, though, to wearing identical outfits, reading the same niche political blogs, and more oddly specific preferences. I low-key started questioning I was losing a grip on my own identity, but couldn't bring myself to break away. The connection felt too faded. Things reached an unsettling tipping point when Connor revealed he'd been hospitalized with a sudden dire diagnosis. My chest tightened, recalling my own terrible symptoms manifesting recently that doctors couldn't explain. I hadn't told anyone yet, barely wanted to acknowledge it myself. But Connor pressed for details as he described his illness, which sounded exactly like mine, down to timing and stage. My hands shook reading his latest message. Coincidences happened, but this was straight macabre. Worry consumed my thoughts over the coming days as I awaited my own test results, barely functioning at work. Inexplicable dread seeped in seeing photos of Connor post-treatment, appearing sickly with sunken cheeks and bald patches. It felt like viewing my own imminent mortality in third person. Gut says break things off, but that seemed too harsh, abandoning my suffering twin spirit in his darkest hour. I was trapped watching his decline accelerate in tandem with my failing health. The mirror was becoming too frightening to face. Finally, I received the bad news call from my doctor, having to step outside upon hearing the exact diagnosis matched Connor's condition. I sank trembling onto the sidewalk as she clinically confirmed my worst fears. Suddenly, a shadow stretched over me. Squinting against the harsh daylight, I faced a frail figure in a ball cap standing over me. No way. It couldn't be Connor. Heart seizing in my throat, my face flew up to behold. A woman struggling with grocery bags. Just a stranger offering help. Shaken, I stumbled away, refusing. My mind was now irrefutably playing tricks, amplifying cracked synapses. Had to make it stop. Barricaded inside my dark bedroom that night, I turned my phone circles debating. Lingering codependency wanted to reach out for support, but logic knew I must forge my own path now before things progressed too far. Hand quivering, I blocked Connor's number and every social media tie. Then deleted that cursed Craigslist post for good measure, severing the mystical tether reeling me helplessly in his suffering reflection. Flopping back dazed on sweaty sheets, I fully surrendered to my solitary experience living with chronic illness. My health worsened steadily, yes, but shaping treatment in uniquely personal ways brought awareness that this wasn't some voodoo twin curse, just nature running its course. I found unexpected comfort leaning into human support groups united by shared challenges. Small triumphs restoring my autonomy eventually dulled the traumatic memory of Connor's defeated eyes boring through me, then vanishing from sight. It took blowing up my social media profiles and changing numbers twice over the following year until I felt safely free from our twisted bond and its compulsive pull towards darkness by the throat. I often peered closely in mirrors and photos, wondering if remnants of that ghostly specter still lingered in my features, but saw only myself fully present at each stage, a lone episode that couldn't define my fate unless I led. The whole surreal chapter almost started feeling imagined until one morning my phone dinged a Facebook friend request notice. I curiously opened it to see an unexpected name that made me drop my coffee. Connor Miller wanted to connect. Heart racing. Turned out he'd been angrily mourning my disappearance, then finally tracked me down. Said he'd forgiven my abandoning him during harshest treatments when he needed me most. Understood I acted out of fear and now simply requested rekindling our destined life bond. I stood paralyzed by the open portal, feeling old energies awakening. A strange new profile image loaded in and I squinted closely. But instead of my former mirror twin, there gazed a bald, middle-aged woman with tired eyes and a gentle smile. Above her name read Connie Miller. The relief of revelation washed over me in the form of slightly insane laughter. Turns out Connor had continued his journey alone towards full expression of identity. Why fear your reflection when you can learn from it instead? I guess I was feeling lonely that rainy night when I opened up Tinder for the first time in months. I hadn't had much luck on there before, but figured I'd give it another shot. Meeting my soulmate was just a swipe away. I started flipping through profiles mindlessly like I was scrolling Instagram. Nope, too boring. Pass, messy room, left. Wait, I had to do a double take on one guy. He looked cute enough in the little circle photo, but it was his bio that caught me. Time traveler looking for love in the past, present, and future. Let's see if we're written in the stars. Corny, but intriguing enough for me to swipe right. To my surprise, we matched immediately. His first message popped up. I've been waiting for you. I laughed. Clever opening line, dude, but take it down a notch. We started chatting about normal stuff. Jobs, hobbies, favorite foods. But the whole time these little references to time kept popping up that I couldn't tell if he was still trying to play into his time traveler persona or not. When I asked where he was from, he responded, a lot of places and times, but right now Chicago near year 2023. I thought, getting creepier, but he seemed normal otherwise, so I brushed it off. At one point I mentioned I loved 60s fashion and music, especially the mods in Britain. He responded instantly, oh yes. The mid-60s in London were such a revolutionary time. The music, the energy, I wish you could see it. Then he paused and said, actually, maybe you will. I literally felt a chill go down my spine. Who was this weirdo? I was about to unmatch when he sent me a selfie of himself in an old-fashioned floral shirt with moppy mod hair posing in front of Big Ben. I burst out laughing. It was clearly an old photo, but he was committed to this bit for sure. As we kept talking, he revealed more snapshots from his travels, and I had to admit, he seemed convincing. The details he knew about history seemed too obscure for some random guy to make up, but time travel obviously wasn't real, right? Eventually I said, okay, I'll play along. So if you're a real-time traveler, what happens in my future? Part of me expected a cop-out answer. But instead he calmly responded, I already know we go on 3 dates. On the 3rd, I bring you daisies because I know they're your favorite. We'll have our first kiss that night on the walk back to your apartment, just outside your door. But after that, my knowledge gets hazy. I can usually only see someone's timeline when our lives intersect. I stared at those words until my phone screen went dark. Who was this guy, and how did he know the specifics of my taste down in my favorite flower? I never told him that. Suddenly my hands were shaking. I didn't know whether to block him or keep indulging this creepy role play. Morbid curiosity got the best of me. I asked, so are you really from then? Holding my breath, I waited for his answer that would surely unravel this whole bizarre catfishing scheme. The little typing bubble popped up, then stopped. Then finally, the year 2185. I know that must sound strange. The conversation continued down various twists and turns, with him revealing revolutionary technological advances of the future and shocking political events yet to come in my time. According to his timeline, America had a female president by 2028 that led innovative climate change reform. But before that, certain celebrities fell from fame while new icons rose up unexpectedly. He always knew weirdly specific details. The release dates of albums not even made yet, winners of sporting events years in the future. Stuff no random vat catfishing could guess right. I started scribbling down all his predictions frantically, determined to fact-check it all later. The more he typed, the more I believed this guy could not be bluffing. No one was that good. Just as I was starting to wrap my brain around the possibility that he could be an actual time traveler, I had a notification that he unmatched me. In disbelief, I checked my messages. His entire account had disappeared, like he was never there at all. I stayed up all night scouring the app and Googling, no profiles matching his picture or bio. No social media under the name he gave me anywhere. It's like he wiped any trace of his existence. To this day, I still have that list of predictions and milestones tucked away. When each one comes true right on schedule, which so far they have, that old unsettled feeling creeps up my spine again. I guess his timeline intersected mine only briefly during his jumps through the ages. But that strange night made me believe that anything is possible. Alternate realities may collide when we least expect them. Swiping on Tinder usually feels like panning for gold in a muddy river. You sift through a bunch of muck before finding a speck of anything good. But with Alex, it felt like I struck the mother lode. Witty, well-traveled, finishing up his residency at a prestigious hospital downtown. And those eyes, intense in a thrilling way. We matched immediately and conversation flowed so effortlessly, I lost track of time chatting for hours. It was like I already knew him. Over fancy dinners the next few weeks, I noticed curious gaps start to emerge, though. Whenever I asked about his past, Alex masterfully steered the conversation to focus back on me or onto current events. It made me feel so special in the moment. But later, I kept circling back to those deflections, not even a cute story from college or hometown nostalgia. Strange. Even more strange was when I suggested attending an out-of-state medical conference he mentioned months prior. Alex nervously dismissed it as less interesting than it sounded, not worth a trip. When I remembered an old Facebook pic showing him on vacation in Italy and asked if he'd bring me next time, an indecipherable expression flashed across his face, and he changed topics. Peculiar for such a worldly guy to avoid revisiting beautiful destinations with his new girlfriend, or talk about attending a career-defining conference again. I decided to do a little sleuthing after the evasions began to feel less accidental and more deliberate. Late one night, I searched his name on Facebook and Instagram more extensively, scouring under hashtags from the med school etched on his scrubs. Hours of combing through posts, and I couldn't find Alex anywhere. Some profiles were private, but still, not even tagged by colleagues or checked into the hospital that supposedly employs him. That felt impossible. On our next date, when conversation lulled, I studied Alex's face intently as if seeing it for the first time. How could this man sitting before me sharing my dreams over grilled octopus be an absolute ghost online? My heart rate quickened. When else was he hiding about his past or present? But under the table I squeezed his worn hand affectionately as always, hiding my suspicion behind a convincing smile. I needed more clues before I landed on what I suspected, that Alex might not exist at all beyond the man manufacturing this charming persona across from me. I invented a work conference to give myself a few days for deeper investigation. The night I checked into my hotel room, I got to work piecing together the sparse facts I actually knew, scanning old messages for useful intel. Any clue at all about who this shapeshifter actually was. I stewed for hours, scouring the internet trying to track his phone number or image in reverse. Nothing. Dead end after dead end, until finally, buried in a years-old Instagram group photo, a familiar pair of intense eyes stared back, but a different name hovered below. Gotcha. Turns out Alex also went by Stephen, Michael, Ryan. Different professions and schools and friend groups splintering out from each alias on social media. Some accounts active, some deactivated. But one common thread, wherever he inserted himself, women adoringly on his arm rotated in and out like extras. Always striking successful women glowing obliviously as he grinned through the lies. Bile rose in my throat as the truth became undeniably clear. The man sweeping me off my feet was a ruthless fraud, a serial manipulation machine hiding behind an ever-evolving disguise. An emotional vampire unable to exist alone, constantly hunting for his next trusting victim. And I was next in line. That glamorous Italian vacation in his fake Facebook photos. Probably posted by another day's woman like me, swallowed up by his fantasy world years ago. Part of me wondered if he'd already been married or had kids too at some point, abandoning each family when they got too close to the gnarled truth. Maybe there were even more disturbing secrets in his closet hidden behind padlocked trapdoors only his many ex-wives held keys to. I was obsessed for days devising a plan to catch my catfisher red-handed, reveal his true duplicity. Part of me even fantasized about slipping into an alter ego myself, a mysterious, alluring bombshell to seduce his secrets straight from the source on our next first date. But ultimately my sane side took over. He was already ensnared so deeply in an intricate web of pathological lies. Even exposing him would unravel nothing. Any backstory or explanations more likely fabricated to buy more time, sweep me into his drama longer before moving on to fresher prey. Finally, I compose a goodbye text. I know what you are. And we're over. Take your mess somewhere else because I won't fuel your lies anymore. Then I erased his number and every trace of Alex, blocking him even from memory. Let some other starry-eyed woman piece together the fractures of his fractured identity like a jigsaw puzzle. I already lost too many nights, and more running in his twisted rat maze hunting for an exit. In hindsight, outsourcing my longing heart to the algorithms of Tinder's hot or not swiping system was reckless. But drifting there among divorced dads and grad students, how could I detect a master manipulator concealed by an innocent blue checkmark? His Oscar-worthy performance temporarily suspended my own judgment. For now, I'll trust only flesh and blood connections, ones accountable to hard truths. Let the ghosts keep costing each other on the apps, seeking supply through synthetic intimacy. One day his masquerade will end with slip-ups not even Hitchcock could script. But I'll be long gone, having blocked that spectacular bit of casting just before his harrowing final act. Some stories you're better off leaving mid-scene.
Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.